There's this common misconception that sleep training is only for newborns or infants, little babies, and that my child is too old and a bad sleeper and there's nothing I can do about it now. Well, that's not true. It's never too late to teach your child to sleep well. So perhaps you have a toddler or a preschooler or an elementary age kiddo that is requiring you to fall asleep with them, lay in their bed at the beginning of the night, and or then coming to get you to come back to their bed later in the night if they wake up, or crawling in bed with you to fall back asleep. Okay? It's still not too late. You can teach them to be an independent sleeper. So I'm going to go through some tips with you today on how to help them be better sleepers, getting them in the right direction. But before I say all those, I want you to know that sleep is not a one-size-fits-all, and there might be some other underlying issues going on. If your child is a mouth breather or snorer during the night, you might want to have that looked at by the pediatrician to see if there's, some shorter or smaller airway blockages going on that's interfering with their sleep. There could also be stress and anxiety and fear around sleep, and so that's something you would also want to tackle. I can walk through all that with you and give you some suggestions and point you in the right direction if so. So just reach out to me if that's something going on. But regardless, you can still use these tips. So the first one is bedtime routine. You want this to be super consistent, same order every single night, because it's a cueing system for the brain. Your brain will pick up on when this happens, then sleep is coming, and it starts to release melatonin. And we want it to get to a level where it's going to be easy for your child to fall asleep. So around 40 minutes for older children. This routine could be something along the lines of bath or shower, pajamas, brushing teeth, going to the restroom one more time, and a couple of books before going to sleep. If your child has sensitive skin, or it's just in your household you do baths and showers every other night, no big deal. Just make sure the rest of the routine is super patterned and consistent. So what do you do at the end of this bedtime routine? More often than not, children that are coming into the parents' bedroom later in the night is because they started, or a parent started with them at the beginning of the night. Of course they're going to look for you when they wake up. It's the way they know how to fall asleep. So you have to eliminate yourself from this equation in order for them to have the chance to fall asleep all on their own with those self-settling skills. If you love the snuggle, you do not have to give it up altogether. Just set a timer. So you finish the routine like reading books, turn the lights off, and set a timer for just a few minutes. 3 to 4 minutes should do it, because you don't want to run the risk of your child falling asleep with you there or you falling asleep. Then you're backtracking, right? And when that timer goes off, that signifies to both you and your child, okay, time for me to leave, time for you to sleep. So what do you do in the middle of the night when your child wakes up? There's two different scenarios. The first scenario is that your child stays in their own room. Maybe they're fussing or crying or talking or playing, but they're in the room. Give them 10 minutes before you go to respond at all. 10 minutes seems to be a magic number where kids start to self-settle. So they might not be asleep at 10 minutes, but you can hear them start getting quiet or start, behaving in a way that is falling asleep, right? If at 10 minutes they're still going strong, whether that be crying or playing, whatever it is, then you can go in. But you need to be very consistent with the way that you go in, regardless if it's you or your partner. I like to have parents have this boring key phrase. You're not engaging with them in conversation. Children have this way of becoming exceptionally cute, or on the latter, very dramatic tantrums and meltdowns to get more attention, engagement during this night. So little engagement. So having a key phrase will help you be consistent with that, and boring and signify it's time to sleep. My favorite is lay your head on your pillow, close your eyes, it's time for sleep. But it could be something else. It's clock does not say it's morning, it's night time, go to sleep, or I'm right here. Anything that's boring that you're going to do on repeat. So let's talk about the other scenario. The other scenario is that your child comes into the bed. If you're one of those people that often don't even wake up when your child comes to the bed until, you're in an uncomfortable position later in the night, or it's morning, you're like, oh, my kid's here, right? Put a bell on your door, right? Tie a bell on your door so it can help wake you, and that way you have the same response every time. And you're going to follow the same thing as even if they stayed in the room. You're going to walk them back to the room with little to no engagement whatsoever, except that key phrase. No extra tuck-ins, no extra kisses. This is time for sleep. And you need to be clear that your boundaries, your rules are not bending. That helps alleviate the stress and anxiety for a lot of children. The more consistent you are, the quicker this process will go into letting them learn how to fall asleep and get back to sleep on their own. So restrooms and drinks, those are good stalling tactics. If your child needs to use the restroom, let them go. Probably no more than 1 or 2 times a night though. And drinks, have a little water bottle that's not completely full, so they're not having to go to the restroom more, but has some water in it right next to their bed, so they don't have to get out and they don't need you for help to get a drink. And again, super boring, super, routine. Lay your head on your pillow, close your eyes. It's time for sleep. All right, early morning wake-ups. You're going to treat this just like a night waking. I say don't start morning before 6 a.m. And I love those clocks that are wake-up clocks that show when it's time to be in the morning. If your kiddo is not great with telling time yet, it could be like a picture that changes or a simple color change. And they are a great tool as long as you are being consistent with them with clear boundaries. So even in the middle of the night, you can refer to the clock. The clock does not show it's morning, it's time to sleep. So you walk them back in their room, let's say it's 5 o'clock. It's harder to fall back asleep in those early morning hours because we're in lighter stages of sleep, but it can happen. So it might be more like 20 to 30 minutes for them to fall asleep, and they fall asleep at 5:30, and the next thing you know, they're sleeping until 7, right? So give them that chance, be consistent, repeat those key phrases. Once the clock shows that it's morning, make a big deal about it. Even if they weren't sleeping, they laid in their bed until that point. Celebrate that, acknowledge that. Go do something that would reward them, like, oh, we can play a game. You stayed in your bed until this point, right? Or we can make special smoothies, or, just some sort of special quality to signify that they did it. They had a gain there, right? Baby steps, and eventually they will be sleeping till that point. And the last thing for a tip is to look at what's going on during the day. Oftentimes, there's something not quite helping them fall asleep during the night because of what's going on during the day. So that could be that, diet, getting rid of sugary junk food, snacks, even juice at dinner, not having those there, keeping them before, the late afternoon. And if they have a bedtime snack, something that's not going to wire them up, a healthy bedtime snack will help. Then screen times. Of course, we know that that's not great for us in our sleep. It's that blue screen that interferes with the melatonin production. So cut screens off at least an hour before the bedtime routine begins. It might need to be even sooner. Some kids are more sensitive than others. So it could be like a full 2 to 3 hours before. And then exercise. We know that exercise, the more active we are during the day, the better we sleep at night. This does not have to be a big drawn out activity. This could be, a 10 to 15 minute activity that gets their heart rate going a little bit and raises it. And this could be right before dinner or after dinner, depending on the timing of your schedule. So there's great videos online that are led for kids to raise their heart rates in a short amount of time, like jump roping or jumping or dancing, exercise. It could be that you have them outside running, playing red light, green light, or obstacle courses or races, just something that gets their heart rate going. And then right after that, bring it down with a cool down that would be either focused breathing, kid yoga, or just stretches. Again, there's a lot online. I have my favorites of all of these, so if you would like these, just reach out to me and I'm happy to share those with you. And the breathing is awesome. Look at box breathing or star breathing. There's a lot of other ones for kids that they can use at bedtime and when they wake up in the middle of the night as a strategy to help themselves get back to sleep. Okay, so these are some tips to get you going in the right direction. Like I said, though, sleep is not a one-size-fits-all, and I especially love working with families with kids this age because they are mature enough to understand, like, when they do something great, like I fell asleep for the first time ever without mom laying in bed with me, or I stayed in my bed until clock showed it's morning. I've never done that, and they just get so excited, and it's wonderful to see that progress. So for this age group, I work with families for 3 weeks. I personalize sleep plans to address what's going on and meet your goals. And then I'm there with you for 3 weeks with online ongoing support to make sure that things are going in the right direction and we're acknowledging all these great things that they're doing with their sleep. This starts with just reaching out to me in a quick sleep call evaluation, which is complimentary, and we can get to know each other better, and you can tell me what's going on with your child so we can go forward from there. If you're curious, reach out to me, and thanks for watching today.